Hello, everyone, and welcome to another little short episode, a little clip here from Parenting is Easy podcast. I'm your host, Samani Abraham, and there's something that's been requested a lot recently is talking about different parenting styles. And I think it's important to know before we get into what I believe are the five main ones of parenting styles, at least, I think that there's a really important emphasis that needs to be made on realizing that everything we do for our children needs to be specific. Needs to be about what it is that we are doing, what we're feeling now. And it's about us being able to know how to deal with our children based on what they're going through right now. And I think that's a very, very important point. So I want to quickly go through the five main different parenting styles that there are, but realizing that we have to do for our kids what they need. So it's not about the style, but it's about taking care of what your kid needs. Even if you have twins, identical twins, they may need things differently. And it's important to note that. So the first and foremost, I think, one that is highly regarded and highly known throughout the parenting world and around the world is authoritative parenting, which is characterized by high responsiveness and high demandingness from both the children and the parents in their relationship. And it's very, very nurturing, and there's very clear expectations, and there's guidance from the parents. At the same time, also emphasizing autonomy and independence from the children themselves. And there's a lot of communication going on within this parenting style. And there are, at the same time, also punishments and consequences that come along with it. And I think there's a balance in what's happening here. We have to know how to deal with our children to know what it is that they need. And what may be an incentive or a punishment for one child is not going to be the same thing for another. But authoritative has a very healthy balance of being a parent, being a friend, teaching things, but at the same time also harboring and emphasizing independence. The second one that we talk about is authoritarian parenting. Authoritarian parenting is very, very high in demandingness, needing demands met, very low in responsiveness, and there are a lot of disciplinary actions taken, correlation where there's a high prioritization with obedience and conformity. And there's a lot of punishment and control that is brought into this. And a lot of the, because I said so, and with the zero explanations. And kids sometimes need explanations. So that could be something that could be a little bit difficult if their parent is going to be too authoritarian. Now, the third one over here that we're going to talk about is permissive parenting. This very high responsiveness, but very low in demandingness. And that's very, very nurturing and very accepting of a child's desires and their impulses. Very few rules and boundaries. And permissive parents is try to avoid confrontation as much as possible. One problem with this is as children go on, there's a high level of anxieties, insecurities, and not knowing how to deal with authoritative figures, which anyone that's going to be in any sort of school system, hierarchy type country, where you have government, where you have police officers, where you have TSA, where you have security, they're not going to be able to go ahead and deal with those things properly. So that's number three, and that's permissive parenting. Then we have number four, like we were saying before, that's called uninvolved parenting, which is pretty much neglect in many ways, but still is considered a parenting style, though, just letting kids sort of go on their own over here. There's very, very low rates of both responsiveness and demandingness. They are there to have like a little bit of emotional support as the parents to their kids, but in general, their parents are very, very neglectful, and whether it's for own personal issues that they have, or because of not knowing how to meet their child's needs. And it's important to know that this concept can come back whether there's a sickness or a death or some other crisis in the family, and sometimes we become uninvolved parents, and you have to be aware of that. The last one, number 5. Is something that I think has been more of a recent phenomenon, but at the same time, there has not been as much research in the area of what's known as helicopter parenting as there are in the first 4 that we talked about. The concept of helicopter parenting is more leaning over a child's shoulder and being able to have less in direct involvement, but at the same time, there's a lot of overprotection and micromanagement. So let's say a child is building a Lego set. What they're doing is they're letting the child build a Lego set, but when they mess up just a teeny bit, put the pieces on a little bit wrong, they'll, without saying anything, they'll go in and say, no, this is the way you're supposed to do it. And I think that could be a real issue because there's very little autonomy that's going to be within the relationship, but that's going to be something that can bring about high insecurities within the child themselves. So again, let's just go through this quickly. We have the 5 main categories in parenting styles. The first one that we talked about was authoritative parenting. The second one that we talked about was authoritarian parenting. The third one that we talked about was permissive parenting. The fourth one is uninvolved parenting. And the fifth one is helicopter parenting. Thank you so much for your constant support, your likes, your emails. Anyone that wants to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at parentingiseasypodcast@gmail.com. You can look at and follow our social media as well. Instagram can be found at parentingiseasy, said no, the number one ever. And hopefully we can continue to have these amazing discussions, and we could hopefully learn to like our kids as much as we love them.